I was sitting across from the manager, my hands sweating. I just loaded $70,000 into a major event, and the bank had frozen my account. We don't work with ATM operators, she said. That day taught me the most expensive lesson in my 25-year ATM journey, one that completely changed how I approached banking relationships. Today I'm going to share what I learned, including why the biggest banks aren't always your best partner, and how building the right banking relationship can save your business in critical moments. When we first started in the ATM business, it was easy to set up an ATM business. Nobody asked any questions of what you're doing. They were just looking for business accounts, and there was always tons of cash. The banks had tons of cash back then. I remember walking into a bank and asking the bank teller, hey, do you have $150,000? And the bank teller said, we're a bank, aren't we? Those days are gone. Now when you walk in a bank, most banks keep a cash threshold in $20,000 on a weekly basis. They don't keep the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you might require if you're a major ATM business. If you're starting out, each bank will be sufficient, but if you grow and they don't want to grow with you, this could be a concern. Now lately, if you ask too much, your bank could freeze your account. So what you have to do is you have to have leverage when you set up a banking relationship, and knowing that going into the first deal with the bank, you have to know that they could freeze your account, so you're going to create this leverage that I'm talking about. The ATM business is easy, but you need a banking relationship partner that will work with you. Big banks have their strong suit, which is usually lower rates and multiple branches, but they don't work for the ATM business. So please stay away from the big banks. The big banks are the big three, I like to call it: Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo. Please go to smaller local banks, what I call mom and pop banks. Those are usually 1 to 5 branch banks that can customize your particular needs, and they want to talk to you. If you have to call a district office or a district manager, these are not the right banks. You need to be able to talk to a branch manager when you walk into the bank. Smaller banks want deposits, they want accounts, and they also want loans. Whether you are a big customer or just starting out in the game, you need a relationship with a bank, but it has to be mutual. There are 3 core principles in the ATM business when dealing with banks. Number 1 is don't go with the big 3. That's Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo. Although these banks are tremendous banks for our country, they're not for the ATM business. Number 2, create a relationship with your business banking partner. And number 3, set up structures and make promises that you can keep, that the bank will be excited for being a partner with you. No big banks. Go with the smaller mom and pop banks or even credit unions. Make sure when you go to these smaller banks, you can talk to a branch manager at any given time. If they have to call somebody, it's not going to be the bank that you want. So 2, how do you create that relationship? You promise them other accounts, try to bring all your business to them. Now that could be personal. If you're just starting out in the game, maybe you have 1 or 2 personal checking accounts somewhere else. Tell them you're going to move that to their bank. Maybe you have other businesses. You're going to move those businesses to that bank. Or if you have maybe a car loan, or you're looking to buy a car, you want to promise them, hey, we're going to buy a car in the next 18 months. We're going to fund that through your bank. Now, you could say, well, hey, that's not always the best rate. It's not, but what we're doing is creating a relationship with the bank so you have a successful partner, and that partner will help you grow your ATM business. And 3, meet with them on a quarterly basis. They're going to ask you for any documentation. Make sure you provide all the documentation. Sometimes they're going to ask for location agreements. Sometimes they're going to ask for an ATM agreement between you and your ISO. Sometimes they're going to ask for P&L and balance sheets. Try to provide them as much documentation as you can so you ensure that relationship thrives and grows. Now, I would have probably told you maybe 15 years ago, hey, don't give them all that information, but in today's environment, these are the kind of things that will help you stay in the bank, because they get audited every year. Their auditors are looking, why is all this cash going in and out of the bank, and what are we doing about it? And that is usually after the auditors. If that branch manager can't explain with confidence how valuable you are, that auditor might suggest eliminating you as a potential threat, and then you will now be looking for another ATM bank. After 25 years of being in the ATM business, I realized that having a successful business partner with the bank, it's more than just about putting your money in the bank. It's about creating a successful business relationship so I can thrive in my ATM business. Whether you're starting with your first ATM or scaling to your 10th, always remember the bank you choose is as important as the ATM locations you select. So if you're thinking about starting your own ATM business, I want to invite you to our free checklist entitled ATM Business Passive Income Checklist, the 5 things you need to know to start your profitable ATM business so you can have a clear roadmap towards ATM business success. You can earn between $250 and $1,500 in passive income every single month. All right. If this sounds interesting to you, I want you to click the link down below and start your ATM journey today. Again, this is Phil from the ATM Mastermind Group page, where we buy your freedom back one transaction at a time.